Oh, sound check. Sound check.
That 3 supporters were shot in that Pennsylvania crowd, 3 adult men who were attending that rally. One of them did not survive. Corey Comprador, a 50-year-old firefighter, husband and father of 2 daughters, remembered as a hero tonight. He had brought his family to the rally, and tonight his family says he died jumping onto his loved ones to protect them from the gunfire. Here's Whit Johnson.
At the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company, black bunting hangs in honor of 30-year veteran Corey Comprador.
He's a guy with a smile that lit up a room, volunteered here for years, doing life-saving stuff for complete strangers, putting his life on the line.
Corey's uniform still on display in his locker next to those of his fellow firefighters. A day earlier, the 50-year-old husband and father was in the crowd with his family at former President Trump's rally as a hail of gunfire erupted. An attempted assassination against Trump. Corey killed in the chaos while shielding his family.
He was protecting his family from the bullets that were being fired, and he lost his life. God love him.
Corey was a girl dad. Corey was a firefighter. Corey went to church every Sunday. Corey loved his community. And most especially, Corey loved his family.
Today, Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro ordering flags across the Commonwealth lowered to half staff in recognition of the tragedy, speaking with Corey's grieving loved ones.
They have some very challenging times ahead of them. They will have an empty seat at the dinner table for the rest of their lives. But we need to make sure that Corey's memory is forever a blessing.
Corey's family posting tributes online. Those who knew him not surprised by his sacrifice.
Even if it was a complete stranger, it wouldn't have been a shock to know that he did everything he could to keep people safe. That's just truly the man he is.
And we heard that over and over again today, Whit, from anyone who knew him tonight. Corey Comprador's friends and family members are all saying he would reach out to anyone if they were in need.
Absolutely, David. And Corey worked as a maintenance foreman. His employer telling us tonight that he was the kind of guy who could make friends in a heartbeat and would do anything to maintain the safety of the people around him, calling this a huge loss for the community. David.
Whit Johnson with us tonight as well.
Sunday Slide Guitar Music. It comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Evil FB Network and Rumble and YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in Newswire on either Rumble or YouTube. We like Rumble better, but everybody's got their choice of what they think should be out there. Of course, we had the Trump assassination attempt. Corey Comprador lost his life, shielding his wife and daughter. This guy, and I get all the coverage on Trump, and we'll get into that. But I wish more people would take into account what Corey suffered. He lost his life, and he lost his life doing what a man should do. He heard the shots. He immediately shoved his daughter and his wife to the ground, and he took a bullet for them right in the head. Some of the aftermath, and we'll get into that, and hopefully we'll have Dr. Kelly Victory on at the bottom of the hour. We'll get her thoughts on all of this. But it does at least give us a little hope for the future. There are some good guys out there like Corey. There are some guys that will do what's right. There's probably a little unknown story you don't know about Corey. On top of being a fireman, a dad, a husband, a son, Mike Joy, the great, well, he used to be on Motor Racing Network. Now he's the Fox anchor on NASCAR. And I didn't know this, but he put this up. Corey Companatori was a fixture at Lernerville Speedway in his hometown in Pennsylvania, a member of the track safety crew for over 20 years. He also sold 50/50 tickets at the Speedway for the benefit of the STVFD. Corey will be forever remembered as a hero who saved his wife and daughter. Lernerville Speedway is a very famous track there in Pennsylvania, in the area of that. I think it's about a half-mile dirt track of that. Corey, again, was a member of the safety crew there for, 20 years. As you heard in the intro from ABC News, from his colleagues, couldn't have had a nicer guy. His daughter Allison, and I'm sure most of you seen it over the social media networks, said she couldn't have asked for a better dad. And this is the tragedy we have. Trump will go on. We'll go on. But we shouldn't forget what happened on Saturday and what Corey did. No, we shouldn't. We should never, ever, ever forget Corey Companatori. We get into what all the jackasses did and everything else that led up to a lot of what culminated in Saturday's assassination attempt on Trump, the brutal and thoughtless killing of Corey Companatori. We have allowed these circumstances to permeate our society. I think I put it up a couple weeks earlier, but I think it's even more appropriate now. This is what these network mass media, mockingbird media as we call them, are doing to you. They're putting garbage in your head. These 3x5 screens, which are now the new TV. If you're under 45, this is your TV. It's putting garbage in your head. Turn them off. Twitter's not half bad anymore since Musk got a hold of it. But these Fox News, turn them off until they get rid of Karl Rove and all that, and the Murdochs sell it, and they bring back Tucker Carlson, the only guy that was even halfway decent on that network, and they got rid of him. NBC News on their PMSNBC, as Rush used to call it, and we will call it that. Forever. They took off Morning Joe and Mika. Oh, well, if now, after 20,000 times of Hitler and everything else, you and Joy Reid and Paskey and all those Mad Cow and everybody else, well, now after you shot at Trump and missed, oh, now we're going to take them, ooh. Yeah, little Mika up there, daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, the biggest POS Secretary of State the United States ever had. Up there, Trump, and little Joe sniffing up her rear end. Joe Scarborough is exactly what a man is not. Scarborough, who was in the Congress, knows exactly what he was doing. He sold out for the dollar and a new wife and said, I will do anything you say. He went from being a congressman whore to a broadcasting whore. All of them, practically all of them, shouldn't say all of them. They should be shut down. They should shut down CNN, Jake Tapper, Anderson Cooper, that evil woman, Caitlin, whatever the hell her name is. Trump identified her correctly when he had that 2 hours or whatever, Caitlin Collins, I think her name is, and she's shut up. I don't want to hear Joe Behar and Whoopi Goldberg and whatever them racist a-holes. I don't want to hear Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi should be drummed out of freaking office. Here's a montage, just a short snippet of what these clowns have said as the proverbial window rolls around.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. You have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching him.
I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
No, I wish we were in high school. I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now.
Okay. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Please, get up in the face of some Congress people.
People will do what they do.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
We're going to go in there, we're going to impeach the...
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
Of course, the cackling hen is on there. We didn't even get into the Hitler stuff. That was exactly code where it says you better take, it is your duty to take Trump out. That's what the code word for Hitler was. They're all complicit in it. There should be a drumbeat. You should turn off the dials on all those a-holes that have done this. You should write the advertisers and say, we will not buy your products if you advertise on these channels that get people killed, innocent heroes like Corey Companatore. We're not going to relive the JFKs and the Jerry Fords and the Ronald Reagans. You're not convincing me yet. The Secret Service keeping their flipping mouth shut. A guy 150 yards away on a building with a clear shot at Trump. People telling 2 minutes before, they're hollering at the cops. There's a guy up there with a gun. The cop engages the guy. The shooter points a rifle at the cop, and what does he do? Duck. There's no central command that you punch. Even if he ducks and runs, he should have been on the freaking radio saying, hey. Nobody was on there that they identified 6 months ago as a potential threat area, the Secret Service. And then you had the little 5'2" lady stand in front of Trump. Thank God there wasn't a second shooter out there. Trump's what, 6'2", 6'3", he's a tall guy. You see the other tall guys around him, the guys are 6'2", 6'3". Now, if they can find a 200-pound, 6'3" woman up there, which is very rare, only 1% of the population of women are over 6 feet. Well, 14% of men. Go look it up. Prove me wrong. There aren't that many women that could stand in front of Trump. That's what the Secret Service jobbers do. The rest of them did. The men were tall enough to shield Trump. The little 5'2" lady, on top of that Biden plant, who's head of the Secret Service with their diversity, equity, and inclusion crap, that's permeating society. It's ruining your kids. It's rotting your brain. It's making you accept this. It's beyond ridiculous. This is why CNN should be shut down.
The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States. Donald Trump, a couple times over the weekend, referred to immigrants from South America, Africa, and Asia. He did not mention Europe. South America, Africa, and Asia as, quote, poisoning the blood of our country, which it's not hyperbole. That does very directly echo Adolf Hitler's language before World War II. To open up a copy of Hitler's Mein Kampf, you would find the Nazi leader describing the mixing of non-Germans with Germans as poisoning. I'm
not going to show Joy Reid, which is on there, because I would shoot every computer screen in this deal. I cannot stand the look of that woman's face. She's been on almost constantly pulling the Hitler line. Like, chain smoking or whatever, gravelly voice, Whoopi Goldberg. Stick it in your rear end, you racist pieces of crap. The only racists are the ones that shout racism. You learned it from Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and everything else. You're just getting paid more than they are. You are the most vile pieces of trash walking the earth. And until they admit they either fired fire them and then admit that they were the ones that are behind this, there will be no unity until they come clean. All of them. It's patently more ridiculous they were fanning the flames of this. Tulsi Gabbard, the assassination attempt on President Trump is a logical consequence of repeatedly comparing him to Adolf Hitler. After all, if Trump was truly another Hitler, wouldn't it be their moral duty to assassinate him? She is exactly right. And that's what they were doing. They created this environment. However, it came about this is where we're at. We have to listen to these doofuses. The nutcase cities. Joe Biden, it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. Now he's trying to walk that back. Bobby Kennedy III, unsecured rooftop 150 yards away. Multiple witnesses saying they were screaming at Secret Service and cops for 3 to 4 minutes as they watched the guy with the rifle crawl to the spot and line up his shot. Take your Secret Service and shove it up your ass. Prayers to Trump and his family. Hear, hear, Bobby Kennedy III. Now there's a man. Isn't afraid to say it like it is. He had his grandfather, his granduncle killed in assassinations in what, 63 and 68. Joe Biden won't even give his dad Secret Service protection. Tucker Carlson strokes conspiracy claims U.S. is speeding towards assassination of Trump. The comments presented without evidence have been picked up by other media personalities on the far right, including conspiracy theorist Alex Jones and former news host Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino, for crying out loud, was a Secret Service agent protecting the president. I think Obama, for Christ's sakes. He's on the radio now. He come on there and said, this is total BS. The little lying C that's up there that Biden put in front of the Secret Service or head of it, who is a devout Trump hater. Diversity, equity, inclusion. There's a bunch of evil white boy in great American house, so we got to assassinate them. They haven't said the assassinate word, but they put all the tools. There were conspiracy claims. Do not watch Fox News until they put Tucker Carlson back on the air and start telling the truth. Get rid of that piece of trash Karl Rove. I don't want to hear Nikki Haley. I don't want to hear none of this other crap. I want to hear Ken Block, these rich moguls, Jamie Dimon. I don't want him saying this. I want him to come on and apologize to the American people for subjecting us to this crap. Sheriff Chad was on the tweet, and I agree with him. We got to stop this, but we got to stop it in Riverside County. Sheriff Chad, Mike Hestron, and all you Board of Supervisors, I want to see the truth coming out. 100%. Are you going to keep protecting canine hating Corey Jackson? Are you going to protect them up in Sacramento that you've been given the evidence on, strong evidence, that most of them are corrupt pieces of crap, and you or Riverside County and everybody else is aiding and abetting them? And I don't want to hear crapiola until every frickin' jail bed in Riverside County is fully operational. I want to hear charges filed. I want our streets cleaned up. I think everybody is tired of this crap. Well, 98.7% of us. I want to be with you, man. I am with you, man. But you can't back up. I want you to come back, Sheriff Chad, from Milwaukee. Say, we ain't putting up with this. We're going to put Riverside Sheriff's Association on the carpet. They have been financing the exact candidates and giving them money. Your sheriff deputies, look at every car, a black and white, practically. Everyone sitting in there contributed to supporting Gavin Newsom. Well, Farouk didn't make it. He was quitting the darn school board. And a whole host of others. Exty and Gutierrez. You want the racist? You want the racist Chuck Washington up there? That's who you supported. You and Bill Young can sit right here and we will discuss this till the cows come home. I will give you the opportunity to prove me wrong. Prove to everybody that I'm wrong. Are you man enough to take that challenge? The famous, I think it was the New York Times guy. Well, it's hard to see in that. That's the contrail of the bullet as it's going by Donald J. Trump. And if you want to know the irony of this, is the illegal alien invasion saved him, because that's what he was doing. He turned his head to look at that big chart that Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, had given him. And he said just before this, I'm going off script, I'm going off the teleprompter. And he had that put up on the screen. And he turned his head milliseconds before that POS pulled the trigger. It's almost impossible to think of. But the only good thing I could say about the little 5'2" or whatever she is lady that's there in the Secret Service in front of him, she didn't block Donald J after he got up or after they let him up and were getting ready to take him out, and he stopped the Secret Service and he did this. He's putting his fist in the air and says, fight, fight, fight. If Trump can do that after suffering what was, like they said, the difference between about an inch, he was an inch of having his brain scattered all over that stage, just like John Kennedy did in '63 in Dallas. Nothing could be more serious. There's the deal. If his head would have been just as it was a half a second before he turned it, you see on the top, the trajectory of that bullet would have went right through his brain, and it would have been lights out. It would not be an assassination attempt, it would be an assassination. That's how close it was. Couple of other things here. I think we got a minute or two. Of course, J.D. Vance was announced as the vice presidential candidate. No problem with that. A little flaky was that. He was on the Never Trump team. But he's been good as he's been a senator. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Of course, the great Judge Cannon dismissed the documents case, said the special counsel was illegally appointed, threw it out. Jack Smith's going to appeal it.
30 seconds.
The Supreme Court's new ruling on immunity, if it gets there, it's going to get thrown out. That's over. As Sean said, we'll be joining the Mighty Met KMT on that. Hopefully, Dr. Kelly will call in. We'll get her thoughts on what happened on this crazy weekend.
All right, here we go. 10 seconds.
.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met, 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience in the Evil Hippie Network and Rumble and YouTube. Check us out, subscribe on both Rumble and or YouTube. We'd rather you do Rumble, but hey, everybody's got to make their choices. Of that, we went through the Trump assassination for once. All these media folks have been complicit in this, and the establishment and the harangue coming up to the Hitler references, the lawfare and everything else, calling us a bunch of evil, dumb white hillbillies. We're going to end of democracy, end of that, Trump and everything. They said Tucker Carlson and all of us were fueling the flames or conspiracy theories on assassinations. Well, how do you feel now? He came within an inch of having his brain scattered all over a Pennsylvania fairgrounds. MSNBC or NBC News has now took Mika and Joe off the air. Why now? Why not have enough balls to step up and say, we did it? If you don't, then you should be firing them, and all of them. Fox News you should turn them off until they hire Tucker Carlson back and they fire Karl Rove. And the Murdochs sell Fox News to somebody who can run it correctly. There will be unity when all of them that are complicit in this, apologize sincerely and say, we're going to change our ways. Because we don't have nothing to apologize for. In fact, we were on the right side of history, as our next guest will probably tell you, I think, as I have deemed her the greatest physician in all the world, supreme expert on COVID and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Hey, Roy. Happy to be with you as always. And I'm now going to officially change my location to being from henceforth the right side of history. Indeed. So that is henceforth my location.
There you go. I mean, just I take the floor because I've said enough in the last half hour. My head will explode faster than an AR-15 bullet hitting it if I go in any further.
Well, I didn't hear a lot of what you said leading into this, Roy, but I'll tell you, I have been really spent the last 24, 36 hours being angry. I'm angry because this was, you heard it here first, if not before, this was an inside job. There is absolutely zero chance that our Secret Service is that incompetent. There's incompetence in our government, but this goes beyond the pale. There's absolutely no way that this happened or went down the way that they're trying to convince you that it did. And so I've been posting recently, if anybody follows me on Twitter, about the idea of Secret Service protection. The reason, frankly, probably that Robert Kennedy Jr. is alive and well and standing today is because he didn't have Secret Service coverage. He hired private. He knew his coverage. Okay, he wasn't, quote, covered, protected by the corrupt, evil forces within our government. And that's exactly what happened to Donald Trump. What you saw the other day with Donald Trump, his life being saved by a fraction of an inch, I can tell you as a trauma specialist, that's what it was. That was the hand of God. That was not just dumb luck. That was the hand of God. And, I am not here to tell you what we need to make of it, but I hope that we make the most of what we have been given here. This whole idea that our government is here to protect and that this was a Secret Service fail and that the nincompoop, the idiot who came from PepsiCo with close ties to the World Economic Forum, by the way, that woman who's now leading the Secret Service just had sort of a fail, that this was incompetence. You'd have to be truly, truly ignorant to believe that. This was concerted. This was coordinated. This is their last-ditch effort to take out the great leader of the free world, Donald J. Trump.
Nobody's going to believe you didn't listen to the first half hour of the show because you echoed practically every point I made in that whole deal. No, I agree. There's no way the Secret Service or whoever's in charge of all this, there's no way this could have been pulled off without them being complicit in it. I don't care. You call me conspiracy. You call us every name you want. You called us nuts when we told you. All this rhetoric, culminating with the latest one, the Hitler chant. You were setting up the deck chairs of it for this to happen. Like you said, and I said it. If it wasn't for the illegal invasion and Ron Johnson giving Trump that deal and Trump going off script and Trump turning his head a millisecond before that POS capped it off, we'd be having a whole different conversation because his brains would have been spread all over that fairgrounds, just like John Kennedy's was over a Dallas, over a 63 T-Bird in 1963, Dr. Kelly.
Absolutely. We're supposed to believe, the average thinking American is supposed to believe, Roy, that a 20-year-old kid, who, by the way, happened to have been featured in a television commercial filmed by BlackRock back in 2023 at his high school, that this 20-year-old kid by himself happened to have procured the rifle, climbed up on, there just happened to be a ladder right there by the building, 130 yards from where President Trump was going to speak. People are screaming, here, there's a guy up there with a rifle. They're talking to the police. They're talking to Secret Service. Nobody takes this kid out. Then they shoot the kid. Interestingly, this kid, who supposedly is so radicalized that he would assassinate Donald J. Trump, but he's never made a media post. He has nothing posted on social media, and he has outsmarted the entire Secret Service, FBI, CIA, because they can't get into his cell phone. Are you kidding me? Seriously. I mean, honestly, how dumb do you think people are? And all I can say is, God help, Bobby Kennedy's a friend of mine. I don't know where his political career is going, but I care deeply for him as a person. Please do not take Secret Service protection. Please keep employing your own, because what stands between you and a mortal bullet wound is not buying into this whole, quote, Secret Service protection.
I mean, after you're saying that, I'm thinking, Trump ought to rescind the Secret Service protection. Say the hell with you guys and hire his own. Say I don't even want. I know there's laws and stuff that he has to have that or whatever. But hey, they took it away from Nixon. They never gave Nixon after he resigned. They pulled it from him. So I mean, Trump should say, hey, I don't want you guys around anymore. Done with this, because there's no possible. There's a tape out there. I saw it, but I didn't have time to find it. 2 minutes, people are screaming at the cops. There's a guy up there with a gun. And the cop finally gets up there. The guy, the POS points it at him, and he retreats back. Where there was no CENTCOM where he punched a button and said, hey, there's a dude with a freaking rifle up here at this particular even if he was coward enough not to engage a guy and back up, or for whatever reason, or maybe he wanted to check, there should have been a big red button that he should have pushed, and every one of them in that command, from Secret Service to cops and everybody else, knew exactly what was going on. There is no possible way that they could have not, that this could have not been pulled off as it was. 150 yards away, you could teach anybody, I mean, unless they were just physically handicapped beyond belief. In a half hour, you could probably teach 98.7% of the population to hit somebody with an AR-15 at 150 yards like that, Dr. Kelly.
Listen, I spend my weekends at the range, Roy. I've got a lot of weapons. And I'll tell you right now, with a nice scope, I consider myself to be proficient, but it doesn't take much with a good scope. Here's the reality. Donald Trump, who I love, let's go down to the street corner in Detroit, Cleveland, Milwaukee. I will get you some peeps. I'll get you some bros who will cover you, man. I will get you some peeps who will have your six. You do not, the Secret Service, quote unquote, they are corrupted. They knew what was going on. There is absolutely no way this was not an inside job, Roy. Our government is complicit. They were complicit the way they were with Robert Kennedy, with, RFK, with Bobby Kennedy, with MLK. I don't know how deep it goes, but I will tell you right now that you would be a fool to believe that this was some random 20-year-old kid who did this without help from inside the government. That's the reality. And by the way, I also was posting that why has not a single media talking head posted about the fact that Sarah Palin was held responsible, you may recall, in 2011 for the shooting of Gabby Gifford, because she used the rhetoric we need to put these people in our crosshairs. Sarah Palin was vilified for the shooting of Gabby Gifford. Why is Joe Biden not being held accountable for saying that we need to put Donald Trump in a bullseye? How are those things different? Sarah Palin, by the entire mainstream, was vilified, held accountable for, absolutely just drugged through the mud for the shooting of Gabby Gifford, because she said in 2011, she said we should put these people, quote, in our crosshairs. But somehow Joe Biden, our sitting president, calls Donald Trump to be put in a bullseye, and he's not responsible for the shooting of him? I mean, talk about hypocrisy. I am so angry right now. I don't even know where to start.
No, it's 100%. I mean, we've got the graphic up there of that of Joe Biden saying that, and now he's trying to backtrack it. Well, I didn't mean that. Why did you own up to it? You knew exactly what you were saying. Do you think there's not miles of videotape of you and all your minions out there and your Secret Service little chickie over there that was on your team and the vice president, and you put her in there to do exactly this? That is exactly why that woman is in there. This is exactly why they're ruining your kids in school. This is exactly why they tried to weaponize Merrick Garland and the U.S. Attorney's Office against all of us that were speaking at school boards and anywhere else and telling the truth about lockdowns, vaccines, and everything else. And now you come from this, and now you're trying to back up from it. At least I would have a scintilla of respect for the Joe Bidens and the racist Joy Reids and all of them if they had guts enough to say, yeah, that's exactly what we were doing. Because like I said, there is not going to be no unity until they admit what the hell they were doing and what they did. If they are willing to apologize and say we're not going to do it again and stick to it, then maybe we're on the track to unity. But if they're going to keep this crap up, if they're going to try to defend it, then we got to keep fighting, because if we don't, as Trump said, fight, fight, fight. And if you don't, they will take you over, Dr. Kelly.
No, you're right. And thank you, Roy, for just reminding me of Merrick Garland, who just got bitch slapped by Judge Connor, who struck down absolutely and declared unconstitutional the case against Donald J. Trump in the documents case for saying that he absolutely unconstitutionally appointed Jack Smith in that case. So, this government right now, we have a rogue government. People need to wake up. The United States government is really one very, we are one hair away from a banana republic. We have got a government that has gone rogue. We've got a government that is unconstitutional. We got a government that is corrupt, evil, and absolutely fraudulent. And we've got to wake up and acknowledge that. And the thing that stands between us and the end of this republic, Roy, is Donald Trump. So God, he placed his hand on the shoulder of that man the other day and caused him to turn his head a millimeter of a degree that caused him to not take that bullet to the head. And I will forever believe that that was divine intervention. We have a chance now to put someone back in control of this republic who will take it back. He has no intent of becoming a dictator. He has no intent of not leaving office when his term is over. He has no intent of doing anything nefarious. His only intent is to bring back, civility, constitutionality, and law and order to this country.
If Joe Biden had any sort of integrity, and all of them, most of them in the hierarchies of the Democratic Party, they would be forfeiting the election right now, because that's how serious this is. That's, if they want unity, then step up to the plate and say, we've done this. We put up with, at least for 61 years, since 1963, when they blew John Kennedy's brains out in Dallas, Texas, because he had the audacity to stand up to the establishment. And none other than Ike said it, watch out for the military-industrial complex, as he was a president just before Kennedy. He was warning that what was going to happen, he was probably already in there. He already knew it. And there's a guy that's seen it from both ends. 5-star general, president, 2-term president of the United States, World War II and all that. And we have been living it, and we have been systematically trying to ignore it, deny it. But I don't see how you can at this point, Dr. Kelly.
No, and frankly, Roy, this is one of the reasons why I was very keen early on during the election cycle. So you're talking, a year and a half ago, in the idea of Bobby Kennedy taking the nomination and being the heir apparent and taking the presidency. because I believe that would, in fact, expose the true deep corruption of our government. His father was assassinated by our government. His uncle was assassinated by our government. Likely, Martin Luther King and others were assassinated by our government. And Bobby Kennedy is the one who spoke up about that. He's not going to be the new president. It's going to be Donald J. Trump. And God willing, he will instead step up because he doesn't have another term that he needs to, run for. And I hope that he actually takes the reins and does what he needs to do to expose the devastating corruption that has happened in this country. I said to somebody the other day, and I mean it, we are the most corrupt government to ever parade as a, quote, republic in the history of the world. Our government has gone so far off the rails as really, we are not far behind the North Koreas and the banana republics of the world. We just do it under the guise of being a, quote, republic. And we need somebody to expose this. It is absolutely abhorrent. And Donald Trump, for whatever reason, had the hand of God in his shoulder. And I stand behind him. I support him. I hope to God he is ensconced in the Oval Office again in January 2025, because that's all that stands between us and damnation.
Trump, not too long after he was elected in 2017, got a hold of Bobby Jr. and that, was going on about the vaccines and all this. And he, everybody was telling him, oh, the guy's nuts and all that. And he said, well, prove him wrong. And nobody could really do that. But then we went on with the COVID and all that. So this is my proposal. I hope Trump comes out with it. Maybe he doesn't have to do it till after he's elected. He should put Bobby Jr. in charge of documents. We're going to open up the WikiLeaks. We're going to open up the Kennedy assassinations. We're going to have transparency. We're going to have transparency on Mitch McConnell and everybody else. Nancy Pelosi, we're going to open up every stinking document in the world. And we're going to let the chips fall where they may. Then we may save this republic, and then we may get to unity. We have about a minute left, Dr. Kelly.
Roy, you are spot on. And if there were a guide, that's exactly what would happen. It would be Donald Trump, Bobby Kennedy, you, me. We'd say, let's rip it all open. Let's expose it all. Pull it out into the sunlight. Expose the whole damn ugly mess of it, because these people need to be exposed. Our own government is part of the problem. And Donald Trump, Bobby Kennedy, and those people who are willing to say it, expose it, which includes the two of us. Drone strikes. The drone may be coming, but I'm telling you, that is the answer.
Here, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Talk soon. Thanks.
You got it. Dr. Kelly Victory saying it only as she can on that. And man, I mean it. I mean, I hope Trump, whether he does it with Bobby Jr. or not or whatever, Mitch McConnell basically told him if he pardoned Assange or opened up all the stuff before he left out, they'd impeach him even if it was 2 seconds before he walked out of office. But hey, what's he got to lose? So you impeach him? What are you going to do? Put in J.D. Vance? Ha 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 ha. Oh man, it's going to be a wild ride, if nothing else. And we'll be here to tell you the real story, if not the rest of the story, like the great Paul Harvey used to say. As you know, I've been talking about standing up for our country, doing something. These big box stores stayed open while the little guys closed. Will our voices be heard? Does voting with our dollars work? PatriotSwitch.com gives patriots the power to walk away from the big box stores forever. Stop supporting the enemies of freedom now. That's why PatriotSwitch.com was created, for those who support America. PatriotSwitch.com. Is your car doing the hucklebuck and afraid you will be stuck? Well, head on down to Toyota of San Bernardino, Nissan of San Bernardino, Subaru of San Bernardino, and the San Bernardino Auto Mall, and catch a Camry, look ravishing in a Rogue, or be styling in a Subaru. Don't forget I-10 Toyota in Indio for those of you in the lower desert. You deserve to be the happiest human on the planet. So head on down to one of these 4 great dealerships for the car of your dreams. Spread the word. IE Newswire is now on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 p.m. on Rumble and KMET 1490 AM, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Join all the cool kids who want an eclectic look at the news without all the filters of the evil scoundrels of social media and the despicable dorks of the dominant press. Don't bumble and stumble. Subscribe to IE Newswire on Rumble and roll with the best hillbilly hoedown around. That's it. If you want to buy American, go to PatriotSwitch.com. If you need a new Toyota or Subaru, go to one of Cliff Cummings' great dealerships at the San Bernardino Auto Mall at the 10 and 215 freeways. Don't forget I-10 Toyota down in the lower desert. Make sure you never forget Corey Comparatore. Now that's a real man, a real American hero. Dove on his wife and daughter and took the bullet to the head. It was meant for Donald J. Trump. The two that were also wounded in the senseless attack. Last I heard, they were upgraded to stable condition. Let's hope for them for a speedy and full recovery. So if we cannot let up. We cannot back down. We cannot get complacent. Still, almost 4 months to go. I think J.D. Vance will have Trump's back. He's been pretty good the last 2 years since he's been elected senator of Ohio. We'll see how the rest of this thing shapes up. But the time for pussyfooting around, as we said in 2000, I said that at the beginning, and I think any of you who have doubted that, do you doubt me now? You can't back up. You can't let them win. You can't think somebody else is going to do it. Trump stood up after that bullet grazed him and said, fight, fight, fight. If he can do that, then we have no excuses. There's no other way to go. Hallelujah Friday. We usually say at this time, stand for you back here in 23 hours wide. That's not in or wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding.
You might turn your outgoing music down a little bit too next time, Roy. It's a little.
It was on. I saw that it was up a little bit on the hot side.
But yeah, man,
probably like me, but
yeah, I walked in from work on Friday or on Saturday, right after I got off work. I literally walked in my house, turned on the thing, and just as he began to speak Trump, that's when I saw it, and I saw everything live. And
wow.
It was crazy. It was crazy. All I could say is one reason why there wasn't a Secret Service guy on that roof, because there was already a CIA op on that roof.
I'm not discounting it.
You know?
I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, Roy.